Netflix's adaptation of Neil Gaiman's comic run, The Sandman, was definitely interesting, to say the least. Now, I'm going into this one unscripted, so I might just be rambling a lot, but I really do want to make a video on this show just because of I have problems with it, but I also think that what is good is really good. So I'm just kind of make this quick because I tried to film this video already, but I caught myself kind of just saying things. Like, I kept repeating myself. Like, I was having a conversation, not necessarily making what, I would say, like, is a video essay. More of because I don't really want to write it. That's, again, one reason. And I feel like I don't have enough to say to really make it a full effort, kind of give it your all, make it long, and really dive deep into it. But I do want to just give my general consensus. It's the title of makes it seem like it's going to be a video essay. I was going to make it that, but it's not. So Sandman is a show that really feels disconnected. It feels like it's just they're trying to get through the whole run of the comic, and they got through two big parts of it. Episodes 1 through 4 focus heavily on Sandman being Morpheus, Lord Morpheus, King of Dreams, personification of dreams. He has 30 names. Being captured instead of death. It was all an accident. And how that ruined not only the dreaming, and how it made Unity stay sleeping, which comes back later, but that's just set up. But basically it's how the dreaming has been ruined, his kingdom is ruined, all the dreams have escaped or whatever, or went away because their lord was away, and how he has to get out and get his stuff back, his helm, his ruby, and his sand. So, you could see 4 episodes, 3 items, 1 escape. So, first episode is really not great. It's pure exposition dump, and when you think about it in the end, it's not even that helpful. This show is obviously 2 shows in one, 2 issues in one. So, a lot of the things, once episode, once episode 4 and, kind of a little bit of 5 ends, right when John D dies, that's the end of that. That's the end of that. Then we're getting on to the stuff with Rose Walker and finishing everything with the Corinthian. So, yeah, so episodes 1 through 4 are this, get my stuff back arc. And again, episode 1, it really is boring. It is. It's not really that interesting. It plays, exactly how you think it'll play. And this is the first time I think this has ever happened. Now, I don't watch too many Netflix originals, to be honest, but I've never seen, I feel, a preview for the rest of the show after episode 1. I think that the screen testers are sitting through this, they felt it was necessary, but I think that they gave feedback, after this episode, people genuinely might just stop watching. And obviously, as a streaming service, that's not what you want. So, they felt the need to make this season on The Sandman, where they're showing colors and battles and explosions and all this cool stuff in an epically scored montage that would get you excited. I'll admit, I didn't have great thoughts I had good intentions going into it, but after that episode I was like, yeah, this isn't looking too good. And I'm the type of person that really I don't like to judge until I'm finished with it. And because I like to see the whole picture, because I love things that start off kind of slow and then really pay off. I think that those are the best stories. But this one doesn't really have that much of payoff, so the slow start is even less worth it. So, we get this montage after a boring first episode, which is, again, already not a good sign for the rest of the show, or it's not a good sign for that first episode. It's them literally saying to themselves, yeah, this one isn't that great, but the next few will be. And to be honest, the next few aren't that great. Like, you know, they're better. They're enjoyable, I guess. They're watchable. They're not unwatchable. But I think it really comes down to Lord Morpheus not being an interesting protagonist. And again, he's probably like this in the comics. You know, he's an ominous, one-note guy being personification of dreams that learns kind of how to be more human-like. But, and this is something I'll get to later, with episode 6, an episode I personally really liked. It's weird because he sees the guy throughout every 100 years and he's learning to act like a person, but through the first four episodes, which take place after, in the timeline, take place after episode 6, like the flashbacks, he still acts very inhuman, so it doesn't make sense timeline-wise, because they wanted to save it for when you saw it on the episode, his shift in personality. But that's just a nitpick. It doesn't really make sense, but I guess when you're captured for a certain amount of years, 100 decade, or whatever he said, I think a century, you're gonna get like that. Whatever, fine. But yeah, you know, they introduce all these characters just to give them an episode each, and they bring them back here and there, and it's kind of useless to bring them back, like Constantine and Lucifer, and I guess whatever. I mean, I guess John D does come back, so that's not whatever. But just to sum it up, those 4 episodes are not that great. Again, the first 4 are just kind of boring, and you know, they are very just predictable, and you're just like, all right, yeah, what's next? How is there still 6 more episodes of, again, all he says at the end of episode 4 is, I'm gonna rebuild my kingdom. Yeah, okay, 6 episodes of you rebuilding your kingdom? I don't know. That's not that fun to watch, I mean, in my opinion. So episode 5, you know, they really left off with kind of nothing. So episode 5 starts off with this coffee shop bit. And I thought that, again, it was really just going to be a setup. It was just going to be a little bit of time to set up character. But it's not. It takes up the whole episode. And I think episode 5... I think 6 is my favorite episode, because I think it's very cool to see how they do it. But I think that this is the best episode from a theme perspective, because it really shapes the theme of humanity in the show. I think that that's kind of what, especially after this episode and forward, as we see through Morpheus's eyes, and as he learns, you know, like a lot about humanity. And, you know, obviously everyone wants honesty, and sometimes people even think that you're being sincere. But even something as small as a sandwich order, not being allowed to get a double-double at a diner on your anniversary, can cause a chain of events. Obviously, it's caused by John D with the ruby, and he's making everyone tell the truth. And I think that this episode's so great because it starts off as, it shows how, with the lies, how the day went on, and how people were not necessarily happy, because they weren't happy. You know, he wanted the sandwich. The wife wanted him to not get that sandwich. The waitress just wants to write. You know, the girl that just wants to get back with that other girl, like the one that walks in that was trying to wait on the phone call. And that guy is really anxious about the job. And then the guy in the back, that's the chef, you know, he's really just annoyed by the waitress, and he truly doesn't like her. So you're seeing, though, and you're saying to yourself, all right, yeah, obviously these people aren't happy. What's the point of all this? So once we get to him doing, the whole thing with the truth, how even though everything gets spilled, you'd think hypothetically that it would make, everyone happier, and it would be kind of what everyone truly is thinking, because John D is trying to make a world ridden of lies, because he always felt like his mother was lying to him, and that it put him in an awful position for years, because again, he's now very old, and he uses this newfound power to make what he thinks, even after everything that happens, is a better world. A world ridden of lies. So, it goes kind of through the day again, but now, nobody's lying. Everyone's telling the truth. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, alright, this is interesting. How is this going to play out? Is everything going to be better, or is everything going to get worse? Everything gets worse. So it really is a piece on humanity, and we hide behind our cluelessness, and it's not necessarily because we are naturally, it's because we want to. Because we don't know, we're scared of what will happen if we kind of let that go. And it's great kind of just seeing how everything unfolds. Some things were bigger than others, like, the chef admitting, like, what he does with the waitress's son is different than, not being able to getting a double sandwich. But, it shows how no matter big or small, how everything still happens. And how even just like a little issue can go such a long way. I think what makes it the best isn't the unnecessary 3 different sex makeout scenes. Because again, that's narratively wise, that's another thing. This whole show is just full of makeout scenes and sex scenes for no reason. They're unnecessary. And I'm not saying that because, I'm like, I don't like it, because, whatever. But, it's more just like, it doesn't actually assist the narrative. Kind of like how I feel necessarily, I haven't seen seasons 2 or 3, but I watched season 1 of The Boys. And, I feel like the few times that it's actually put in, it's for narrative reasons, and it's stuff that actually has an effect, that isn't just there to kind of, oh, you're bored? Here's 2 guys kissing, or, like something, it's like, oh, you're bored? Yeah, here's dream sex, like, you know what I mean? It's like, I think this is the only episode where it kind of works, because it's, again, people just doing whatever they think. It's just kind of, because of course, they have the instinct, and because they're telling the truth, because they're just going with the flow, then they're doing it. So I feel like here, it makes perfect sense, and people, they think that they're truly happy, and they're doing things that they never thought that they were capable of doing, but they truly are. I think the coolest part was when he killed the guy in self-defense, but he was kind of just, he was horrified with himself, because he was like, oh, I would never do this. But when John comes over, he says, then you wouldn't have really done it. If you truly didn't want to, you wouldn't have done it. And it's because he knows that, because he did the thing with the ruby, and he knows that they're doing every true intention. I thought that was really cool, because it showed, like, yeah, it's like, you don't even think that you could do those horrible things, but you did them because you did want to. I thought that was cool too. And I think the most ominous part about it all was then them living with that regret, that despair, like the aftermath of everything. I think this was the only episode where setup actually paid off. Like truthfully, I think it was the only episode where setup actually paid off, because you get this whole thing with, you know, with the day getting redone, and in the end they all just kill themselves. They are so just surprised at what they've done, and kind of scared of themselves, scared of that, you know, what their mind is allowing them to be capable of. But it's stuff that, you know, you don't think that you want to kill the guy, and you don't want to just kill the guy for fun, but you didn't even try to not kill him. Your first instinct was, okay, let me kill this guy. You know what I mean? I just think it was really cool to kind of see how that worked. And how even after everything, when the Rangers went up to John D, he still thought that this was the best world. And then even when Dream sees him, he's like, this is horrible. This can't be happening. He's like, well, this is what they wanted, right? I just thought it was a good piece. I thought that it was interesting, and it was really a break in the action, just kind of how after these 4 episodes of soulless just plot, and just, I don't even know what to call it. You get this really cool episode about, you know, with themes really rooted into it, that was well written and has stakes and has everything that, you know, a good episode has. And I think it was best because it was standalone. And then you get to episode 6, which I personally like more, just because I just think it's more fun. I think it's, you know, it's not as ominous. I don't think it's, you know, maybe it's not written as well, but it's more fun for me personally to watch. Him seeing the guy every 100 years. And this is another piece kind of on humanity, because it's, you usually think, especially I think, it's like, you know, whenever you see a thing where it's like, oh, I've lived so long, or I have like immortality, the main thing is like, oh, I've seen so many of my friends, my family, like all my loved ones die, and I still have to be here, and I can't take it anymore. But I think it's cool that though they had the guy like that, I'm just gonna keep calling him the guy because I don't know his name, that they had the human guy that Dream or Death granted immortality for, you know, that year. I mean, wait. Yeah, for that 1 year that he was, you know, depressed, and how his life took crazy ups and downs with every 100 years that went by. I just thought it was cool because it was a way to see, like, just how would he act. And he acted totally, he never acted different. Yes, maybe, you know, he you know, appeared different, he had money at some times, but he still had the same personality. And I think that was the best thing about it, was that he still wanted to live. He never wanted to take away his immortality, because I guess, you know, life has its ups and downs. The only time, you know, and even when he was at his lowest, he still was like, no, I have to keep going. It was just kind of like a cool tale of perseverance, and kind of like, oh, I have so much to do, I have so much to see. I just liked it because it taught Morpheus, it kind of like we learned. Obviously, we know what it's like to be humans, but we saw through his eyes what it's like to, you know, to really meet someone human. And then he uses that, like, these lessons that he's learned just by observing the guy every 100 years in kind of his next experience with Rose Walker and that whole debacle. So I thought that this was just a fun episode because you knew it was coming, but you really didn't know it was coming. You knew that, you know, they were going to return every 100 years, and you knew that by the time it got to 19, I forgot the year. Was it every 62? I think it started from 1662 or 1692 or something. It was every 92 or 62. He went back, and you knew as the viewer that he wasn't gonna return in the 20th century because he was obviously captured. And I thought that it was really cool that they made them have an argument in the 19th century that would make the guy that got granted immortality think that he didn't come in the 20th century because he was mad at him and they didn't want to be comrades, not because he literally couldn't. It was cool to kind of just see how he acted and reacted to that on both ends, and how in the end they returned together, and how, you know, Morpheus says like, oh yeah, we're friends. I thought that was cool. I just thought it was a fun episode. Again, the 5 and 6, both episodes, they're the most fun, and they have the most, like, you know, themes like written into it. They're both unique. They're unique not in the way that they're trying too hard to be unique. Like that fight between Lucifer and Morpheus was like, yeah, it was unique, but being unique doesn't automatically make it good. But it was unique in a way where it didn't feel like it was trying to be unique. But it just ended up being,
I've done my best to be what you made me.
And then I think the Rose Walker thing from episode 7 to 10 was better than the plotline from 1 to 4. But again, it just felt kind of very just average, just very meh. And then again, it's like you get in these, you're using characters across only a few episodes, and none of them necessarily get fleshed out to the, you know, to the point that you would want them to.
What have you wrought?
And yeah, you know, I thought it was all kind of cool. I wish there was obviously some stuff that we saw more. I just think that there was also a lot of stuff that kind of got forgotten. Kind of like, all right, where were Cain and Abel past episode like 3? You know, it's like, even if, like, you know, they weren't necessarily needed.
I won't go willingly.
And I was actually kind of excited to see Mark Hamill as the pumpkin guy, and he was only in like 2 scenes in the whole show. So, you know, I feel like that was kind of a wasted opportunity.
Enough.
But there were some cool things in the last few episodes that I liked. And I definitely sat through them, and I was having a better time with them than I was with the first 4. But the real reason I made this video was because, you know, I really wanted to give my thoughts on 5 and 6. Those are my 2 favorite episodes. The ones that I really sat there and I was like, you know what, that's what makes this a good show. But I wouldn't even say it's a good show overall. Because again, when you look at it as from all 10, it's kind of just average. It's not the magnum opus of Netflix or the magnum opus of DC or whatever that's put under. It's just, you know, it's just alright.
But I created you.
I was really debating making a video on this, which is why I even left it unscripted.
So
it is a long one. This is kind of a throwaway video, but I wanted to make it just so I could really give my thoughts on those 2 episodes and kind of show that, you know, like I'm watching or I'm making videos on things that aren't just
sorry, I won't be here to see Rose Walker.
So with that being said, if I like to rate things, if I had to rate this, I don't know, I'd give it like a...
Next time I make you, you will not be so
if it weren't for like episodes 5 and 6, it would easily get like a 5 or like a 4. It wasn't bad. So like, obviously like 5 is like mid. It's like middle. It's extremely mid. So I'm probably gonna give this show like a 6.5. I don't even think 7's good enough for it overall, but 6.5 for those 2 episodes, and then the half point for fun. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10 for Lord Morpheus's battle against Spider-Man. Yep, that's it.